802 where I am at. I'm going to do a quick welcome. Awesome. Awesome. That feedback caught me off guard real quickly. So I just would like to welcome you all here. That is from myself. I am Jada Brown, your president, and we also have a vice president, Addison Costello. I said it correctly. He is our
Yes,
new,
you did. Thank you.
awesome. He is our new VP. So I would just like to give a quick welcome to him, and the officer team also welcomes you as well. Today we have two wonderful speakers in different fields, and they are going to give us some tremendous advice. So I would say, events manager, you ready?
I guess if I'm not ready, then I'm ready now.
Awesome, awesome. So let's do it.
All right, awesome. So first of all, I would like to welcome everyone. Thank you for coming, and it's gonna be a great meeting. Like Jada mentioned, there's two great guest speakers. We have Kristy Campbell, which is a graphic designer, and we also have Miguel Salomon, which is also a alumni from LIFS, and he does a lot of animation and 3D stuff as well, so it's pretty exciting. So I'm gonna start off with some general questions. Kristy, I'm gonna ask you first, and then Miguel, I'll ask you the same question again. So Kristy, what is your job in the industry, and how did you get there?
Yeah, so hi guys. If you don't know me, I am Kristy Campbell. I'm the founder of Pink Pony Creative. We are a small but mighty design studio all the way out in New Zealand, so quite far from you guys. But we've been around for 3 years. We create brand identities for clients who want really bold, impactful, unique branding. We're certainly not corporate. We can do it, but that's definitely not our niche. And I kind of got into owning my own business on a whim. I didn't really mean for it to happen. It was 3 years ago when I started the 100-day design challenge because I was actually bored at my my old job. I was uninspired. I just wanted to upskill. So I did this challenge. And then from there, it's kind of just stemmed off. I grew, I think it was about day 80, someone inquired and said, hey, look, could you make a logo for me? And I thought, shit, I could make this a business. And then from there, yeah, it's just growing. We've got clients all over the world. I work with Adobe a lot. I'm a speaker at Adobe Max this year as well as last. And yeah, I mean, I started Pink Pony when I was 27. So I'd been out of university for about 7 years before I started it. So I worked for other people and then started Pink Pony. But yeah, that's kind of us in a nutshell and my journey in a nutshell.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really exciting. Miguel, I'm going to ask you the same question. What is your job in industry and how did you get there?
Okay. Hi, I'm Miguel. I'm a CG generalist at Ingenuity Studios. I've been doing it for 2 years now. And how I got here, I graduated from LA Film School from the computer animation program in 2017, 2016, I believe. And I've worked as a 3D modeler for different mediums, website. I was modeling assets for Amazon. That was my first job after school. And then after that, I was doing digital sculpting for Gentle Giant Studios for toys, collectibles, action figures. And after that, I kind of did this shift into TV and film. And yeah, that's kind of my journey. It's like a little bit of the same, it's pretty much the same skill set, but it's applied to different fields and different outputs, if you want to call it like that. But yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. And it's also great to have an alumni here as a guest speaker, like saying one of us is here. But wow, that's really great. Amazing. The next question, Kristy, would be, what did you consider your first break in the industry?
Oh, first break, it's tricky. And I think depending on what you view as a break, can change the answer to this. But when I left university, I wasn't the best student. I honestly didn't have the best design work in the class. I didn't get the best grades. I totally had no confidence in my work. I was quite a relatively confident person, but I thought I could certainly get better at design. And when I left university, I found it so hard to get that first job. I would apply for roles time and time again. They were junior design positions that were being advertised. And honestly, it probably took me 4 months. I was getting interviews, but they were saying the same thing. It was, you are a good designer, but you don't have enough experience. And I was like, you are advertising a junior role. You literally want someone with no experience. And I think we can all relate to that story because it is such a common theme for people when they leave university. And honestly, like a first break in my career was probably getting that first role because I had to kind of weasel my way into a company. I actually kind of convinced a company that I should intern for them for free. I worked for free for a few months and I showed them what I could do. And then they actually realized, shit, she works hard, she can do a good job. And they offered me a full-time role. So in terms of my whole career, that was certainly like a break. But in terms of like to date, what my big break was, I mean, getting noticed by the likes of Adobe and being asked to go and speak at their Adobe Max conference last year was certainly the best thing that's ever happened in my career. And I loved it. Like public speaking was never something that I thought I'd do, but I found a new passion and now I'm going to go back this year. So that was a massive break that helped my career too.
Wow, that's really inspiring, honestly. That's really great. Thank you for saying that. Miguel, same question for you. What did you consider your first break in the industry?
I mean, I was thinking about only the first break, but now Kristy mentioned multiple breaks, so I think I can break it down like that. I guess my first break was my actual first job after school. I got that job through a friend I met at school, so networking is important. When you go to LA Film School, try to do that. And yeah, I got the first job at Amazon as a 3D modeler. I packed all my stuff and moved to Seattle for that gig for it was a contract for a year. And I think after that, that was like the first job that got the ball rolling for me. I haven't stopped ever since. And it's very important to have that first break, that first real world experience, because even after graduating from school, like you don't really know how the real world works until you start working, and then you learn so much and you get that confidence to get the next job. So once that contract ended, I didn't get a renewal, but then I switched into modeling for toys, and then now after that I did another break, which is TV and film, which I didn't really think of doing. I always wanted to do games and toys, but then after the pandemic, I kind of wanted to try something else. And then I broke into TV and film, and it's been pretty cool so far. I like it. I think one of the highlights is when I saw my name in the credits for the first time. That was pretty cool. And yeah, I think it's been a really cool experience ever since. But yeah, those are my two breaks, I'll say.
Well, that's great. That's really great. And like you mentioned, networking, they always tell us that a lot in LA Film School. So
Yeah.
yes,
So
definitely agree with you. Kristy, the next question would be, do you have a mentor in your industry and how did you meet them?
Yeah, this is a good question. I have been lucky enough, and again, this is all about like people you know and connections, but I was lucky enough to be born and into a family where my dad has had lots of business experience in his life. He's not at all a designer, and sometimes the feedback he gives me is questionable, but I run with his business knowledge instead. And he has literally mentored me through my career, through my business journey. Not so much a designer, obviously, but in terms of business, he's helped me immensely, just with decisions and employing people, contracts, like all that stuff that I have no clue about. Well, I had no clue about back then. And even, you know, when you're at your first job and you feel like you're working your ass off and you want to get a pay rise, I always went to him and sort of said, how do I do this? How do I go about it? What's the best way? And he mentored me through my career in business in that sense. But in terms of like the work itself and design, I would say, especially in those early years, like my mentors were certainly the designers that worked with me that were above me. So as a junior, it was just senior designer. And just getting their input and feedback on things was always really, really important. And then slowly as you progress, you then become the mentor to other designers. And I think in itself, that can teach you a lot. But I do know that I'm very lucky with my dad. Not everyone has that opportunity and that like sort of connection with someone so close. So yeah, those are my mentors.
That's really great. It's such a beautiful process, I think, personally, having a mentor and then becoming a mentor at some point. Miguel, same question for you. Do you have a mentor in your industry, and how did you meet them?
Yeah, I've had a couple. I met my first mentor at school, one of my ZBrush teachers. I always ask him for question and advice and all that stuff. And now professionally, one of my supervisors, like he's been kind of my mentor ever since I started, because one thing is the core skills of modeling and making 3D assets and the technical stuff. Then like we would go on long Zoom calls and he will explain me how the industry works, how TV works, how production works, like something beyond only my core skill sets, which is 3D modeling and making 3D art. There's a lot of things that I didn't really know until I got there. So that's been a cool relationship where, yeah, like I ask a bunch of questions like, how do you get clients? How do you bid for a show? How much are things gonna cost? And that type of thing, like the business side of things, the production side of things, which we're not really exposed to if you just focus too much in your art, which is also important, but it's nice to have that. Yeah, I've had a couple of mentors.
Well, that's really great. And yeah, I definitely agree that having teachers as mentors is a really good thing. All right, awesome. So we're gonna head to breakout rooms now, but before we head out to breakout rooms, I would like to tell all the members, if you have any questions for the guest speakers, please put them in the chat, or please let an officer know so that you can hop on the mic or something, whichever one you like. But please put the questions, any questions.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and open the breakout rooms for 20 minutes. So if you got an invitation, please click join and then stay in your breakout rooms, and we will switch the guest speakers into the opposite room after 20 minutes.
Awesome. So, Miguel, first question, why did you pursue a career in the industry, in your industry?
Why did I pursue a career in our industry? I guess because I've always liked to draw and make cartoons and stuff. So I never really thought it would be a actual career until I found LA Film School and found out that there's an actual program and that you can work as an animator or 3D artist. So I don't know, I've always been drawn to making cool stuff for TV or film and stuff. Like I've always revolved around making art. So yeah, I think I just found this place, and then that led to one thing and then the other, and then here I am.
Very
Thank
nice.
you.
I guess I'll ask the next one. How do you make yourself stand out in the industry?
I don't know. I think having just think how you present yourself. How do you, yeah, I guess that'll be a good thing. How do you present yourself as a person, as an artist, like to craft your portfolio in a way that showcases all your skills. That's important. try to be friendly to people, nice to people, make good connections, genuine relationships in the industry. And I think that's my way of standing out, and also just working hard. Yeah, but like finding a way to present yourself in a good light is important.
Nice. I see.
We have a question in the chat. Excuse me if I say your name wrong. Lacey, by Lacey. What would you do if you totally disagree with a creative concept?
If I disagree with a creative concept, I mean, I'll try to explain why it wouldn't work. I mean, if there's a disagreement, it needs to come from a realistic place. I wouldn't disagree with someone because I don't like it. It's like I would disagree with someone if it's not possible, or it's gonna be too expensive, or it's gonna be too complicated, or it's gonna be not worth it. And in that case, I'll try to explain that and kind of like pitch it. It's like, hey, we only have 20 hours. Let's focus on one thing that we should be focusing on instead of spending all this time working on other stuff. It's kind of like an open question, but if I disagree with something, I would try to, how do you say, like back it and have a good reason behind, just not.
Thing. Following trends can sometimes be conflict to you, I guess, if that's the right word. Going against the grain is always a really good idea. So just keep that in mind with trends. But overall, I honestly think with social media and the way TV and film is, and even music is at the moment, it's so easily accessible. I think that plays a huge part in the way that we design and create. I mean, there's examples like when Euphoria came out, there was a huge kind of rise in that like Y2K kind of glitter, and that kind of era and look started to come back. So I think whatever is happening in pop culture, there is a huge influence on everything else that follows behind that. So, but yeah, in terms of like trends itself, be a trend setter or a trend starter, not a trend follower.
Yeah, I definitely agree that movies do influence a lot on design, whether what type of movie it is or genre.
Yeah, hugely. It's interesting to see. But then to be honest, something that bugs me is that those articles come out and say, what are the trends for the year? And every damn year it says minimalism. I'm like, that's not a trend if it's happening every single year. So it's always interesting reading those and seeing what others find trending.
Yes, exactly. All right. Next question would be, when you were starting out, how did you establish a niche for your business?
The niche comes over time, and I think it's important to remember that. Like, we don't need to worry specifically too much about niching down initially. And I think when it came to me starting a business, that's when I really started finding my feet and finding my own style, because I was always working for other people. I was always designing in someone else's aesthetic pretty much. So I never got to experiment and try new things and create new pieces of work. So I had no idea what my style was, in all honesty. I only started figuring this out like 3 years ago, 7 years following my university degree. So it took a long time. And even then, when I started Pink Pony, finding my own personal style and my niche was really about trying new things. If it worked, goes down that path. If it didn't work, I'll push it to the side. I mean, perfect example is I tried to do websites for a while, having no experience in websites, just because everyone else was doing it. I was like, I think I should do this. And then I realized I hated doing websites. So I thought, never again in my life. So I just passed that on. And now I know that my niche is truly graphic design and brand identity design. I even tried, a bunch of other things like social media management, hated that too, push it on. So it's just all about trial and error when it comes to niching down. You've got to explore, you've got to try new things, and don't panic if you have no idea what your niche is, because by trialing new things, you're going to eventually get to a point where you're like, this feels good. This feels right. You know, I feel like now I'm known for my bold, you know, style, full of character, full of quirkiness, using crazy colors. And I love that about what I do. So it's taken a long time, but I finally got there. Yeah. So just remember, it takes time to find your niche and your style as well.
Oh, that's great. Sorry, that's great. Sorry, I'm blanking out. Sorry, that is very good advice. Thank you for that. Angel has a question for you. She says, what movies have you worked on that have impacted your career?
Ooh, I haven't personally worked on any movies. I would love to. I worked with a TV personality, if that kind of goes into that. I worked with you guys would all be familiar with Teen Mum. It was massive in New Zealand when like the first few seasons came out. And there was one of the girls, Kale Lowry. I work with her ongoing now on her design work, and she does lots of podcasts. So that's probably as close as I could get to TV. But that could be Miguel's things. Miguel's side of things is certainly TV.
All right. Seems like Dana has a question for you. Dana, go ahead.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hello, lovely to meet you too.
My question was, when you were starting, like when you knew that you wanted to go into business for yourself, what was the most challenging part of starting Pink Pony?
Ooh, I guess there was so many things, and I think the biggest thing that comes to mind is, will I get enough work? Will I have enough clients to pay my bills? That is the thing that plays on everyone's mind, to be honest. It wasn't even like, what if I can't do good work? Sure, that was a challenge that you have to overcome, but it was, will I have enough clients and will I be able to pay my rent, you know, afford my life? I was really lucky at the time. My partner, or now my husband, he said to me, look, if you don't make any money, I've got you. And I know that a lot of people don't have that opportunity. So I do feel blessed in that regard. But he never had to support me in that way. I was lucky enough to just continue building my client base through social media and through networking. I was able to build on that. And just to not, yes, money, obviously we wanted to make enough, but to not fuss too much about money and not stress too much. You know, if I did an extra few hours and I technically didn't get paid for it, I wasn't going to worry about it. And I probably still don't enough. I work too hard. So yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge that people overcome. And in all honesty, I'm continuously facing that challenge. And anyone who says they're not, who runs a creative agency, is probably lying. It's a really hard thing to navigate, especially with a team now. I've got a team of 3 full-time designers, you know, in addition to me. Finding the balance between I'm too busy and I'm not busy enough, and then it like fluctuates, is a fucking challenge, to be honest. But you just do what you can every day, continue marketing, and continue putting your best foot forward. But yeah, sorry, I went on a tangent there. I got passionate.
It's okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
We also have another question from the chat from Angel again. She said, if no movies, what studios in conjunction with Pink Pony left an impact?
Ooh. Does she mean like agency studios? I guess maybe if I could talk about like studios that maybe I've been inspired by. Yeah, honestly, it's really I'm really inspired by people that aren't that far ahead of me, if that makes sense. Like if I was an actor looking at Zendaya, I probably wouldn't, she's obviously incredibly inspirational, but I'm not going to be going ahead and going, I want to get to where she is. I'll be looking at someone that's just sort of in arm's reach of where I want to be, because I feel like that's more relatable to me. But people who have really inspired me, specifically when I started Pink Pony, I actually, not even large agencies, it's more individual freelancers who have really inspired me, or people who have smaller agencies. There's a designer, she's actually in LA, and she has a studio called High Moon Studio. Just a small agency, but she was really inspirational when I started out. She just seemed like she knew what she was doing. The business side of thing was booming for her. There was another designer called Abby Connick, which sort of is on the similar wavelength to me. She's really inspiring to me, as well as another guy made by James. He runs a studio called Baby Giant. Again, not a massive studio. And I think that's also an important point to make. You know, you want to be inspired by people that you feel like you can reach. I think that's important, but also have massive dreams, sure. But yeah.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to keep asking the questions for you, and if any other questions pop up, I will ask them. So the next question is, what made you name the company Pink Pony Creative?
That's a good question. And there's people ask me all the time. So Pink Pony actually came from my story in a sense. When I was a kid, I loved pink. It was my favorite color. And I also loved ponies. As a horse rider, I just like adored horses, everything about them, like unicorns, all the above. Ooh, we love them. And when I went to start this 100-day design challenge, I wasn't even intending it on being a business at all. I was like, what's a cool name I can make my Instagram page that I'm going to share all my work? And I wrote down a few things, and I kept coming back to Pink Pony Creative. I was like, that's got a ring to it. It's kind of fun. Like, I'm a fun, bubbly person. I wanted it to feel fun and bubbly. So I just went with it. And then when it came to me deciding to obviously register the business and make it official, I was like, oh, should I even call it Pink Pony? That's like an unusual name for a company, because I think there's a juxtaposition between Pink Pony, our values, and who we are. Because on one hand, we are very much playful, friendly, like we are all things bold, daring, unique. But then I want to be professional, and I want to show that I'm a professional, high quality client, to clients. And I think that really played in my mind. So I honestly just ran with it. In my gut, I was like, this sounds cool. Let's just go with it. And ever since then, I've stuck with it. I had my accountant, when I first brought it on, I called her up and she said, what's your business name? And I said, Pink Pony. And she was like, oh, really? And she literally laughed at me. And I was like, yep. And then she looked at our accounts and how much I'd made in the year as a personal freelancer. And she was like, oh, you're doing pretty good. And I was like, yeah. So I think, like, honestly, having a memorable and unique name is very important. And I've learned a lot just even through calling my business Pink Pony. If I was to call my company Kristy Campbell Design, which many people do, and I'm not saying that's a problem, just think about all the other people that do the same. What if one day you want to sell your company? Who's going to want to buy Kristy Campbell Design? What if one day you want to build a team? Who's going to want an email signature that says emma@kristycampbelldesign.com? You know, like, it's too personal to me. Yes, Pink Pony is me in an essence, but it's more than me. I'm creating something way bigger than me. So if you're thinking about starting a company or even an Instagram page, try and go further and be more creative than just Kristy Campbell Design, or even KC Design. We can do better than that. Like, we are so much more creative than that. Another good example, like when I was writing down notes, and I still think about this, is one of my other favorite names that I was thinking of was 98 Studios. And 98 was actually the number of the farm that I lived at for like 24 years of my life. And it means a lot to me. I even have it tattooed on me. That would have been a cool name for a studio, 98 Studios. So, like, go outside the box and look at your own story to, like, flesh out things that you love and care about, because that's what's going to make it truly memorable.
Wow, that's really great. And that's a really good tip that you gave, that using your name for a company. Like you said, it's very common, especially in the graphic design world. But like you said, it's good to have it, kind of like stand out, like your name, your company. It really rings a bell and it stands out amongst all the other companies.
Yeah, that's the one. So think bigger and better than just our name. Like, I mean, it's hard because you get like Tiffany and Co. Is it Tiffany and Co? Oh my God, now I've just forgot the jewelry brand. I mean, they probably stemmed from their name initially. So it's tricky. Like, I think in some instances it can work, But yeah, think bigger. You're a creative company. Be creative.
Alright, so, and Brittany on the chat says that she loves the name Pink Pony, and Jackie as well says that she
Thank
loves it.
you. I love that. Well, now I've got my giant pink horse in my window. I don't know if you guys follow me. I decided we got an office space, and now I have a literal life-size horse, a big plastic one in our window. So there you go. You can turn your brand into like more than just the name.
Yeah, I actually got to see the post. So yeah, that was pretty cool. That adds a nice touch to it. We have a question in the chat from Angel. She said, what are some key takeaways or main points you use whenever you have or had setbacks?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's important throughout your career. Oh, there's so many. I'm like, oh gosh. Key takeaways. One of the best takeaways that I think I've learned, and this kind of crosses over with business, is to be successful, you don't have to be the best designer in the world. You don't have to be the best designer out there. You could be the best designer there is. You could have no other qualities. You could have really, really shit communication. You could have terrible project management, terrible time management, and all of the above won't get you anywhere. Just being a good designer won't get you that far. So you've got to remember that. You could be like an average designer, and if you
want to stand out, like you're being capable of doing a lot of things. But I think yeah, but CG generalists are the people who work in a lot of departments versus being a specialist. It's like, oh, I'm just a character artist. I just do characters and nothing else. So I guess that's the definition of being a generalist. And yeah, it's like, I think that's how I stand out. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Abby has a question here. Abby, excuse me if I say it wrong. The question is, do you monitor others?
Do you mentor others?
Do you mentor, excuse me, do you mentor others?
Yeah, I mean, if whoever's interested in, if they have the right attitude, yeah, I'm open to give feedback and insight of whatever they're interested in. I think I did in the past, and also like at work I've trained junior peoples, and they look at me as a mentor, so I guess that counts as being a mentor. But yeah, I'm open to, if you have your portfolio and you want some feedback, I'll be open for that.
Awesome.
Hey guys, I'm going to jump in, and we are at time to switch guest speakers. So Miguel, I'm going to invite you to join the other breakout room, and you can just click join when you're ready.
Cool.
Thank
Here
you,
it
Miguel.
comes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
yeah, confused at the end there.
Hey everybody, I have our other guest speaker. So we're going to switch guest speakers in the rooms. So Kristy, if you wouldn't mind clicking the leave room button at the bottom, and that'll send you back to the main room with our other group. And then Miguel, you're going to take over this room. Thanks everyone.
All right, awesome. Miguel, just so I can know where you guys left off, what was the last question that you were asked?
It was how do I stand out in the industry, and if I mentor others? That was the last question I answered.
Okay. All right.
To a career in this industry, in the industry you're in.
Why did I pursue in the industry or this career?
No, why did you
Is that correct?
pursue a career in the industry you're in?
Good question. So I have always been creative. When I was a kid, I was sketching things. I love drawing. I love like scrapbooking, even down to like baking and dancing. I was super creative all around. And when I got the chance to take graphic design as a subject at school, I honestly just fell into it and I just was like, I'm good at this. Like, I'm okay at this and I can understand it. And I enjoyed it as well, which I think is really important. And literally, ever since that day, I was like, this is what I want to do with my life. For a small moment in time, I also horse rode and danced on the side. I was a hip hop dancer. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a dancer. But my dad said to me, look, Kristy, horse riding and dancing, you can't make that much money in it unless you make it. I mean, back in those days when there was no social media, this is what we were working with. This is different now. But yeah, I was like, sure, I want to make money and I want to enjoy what I do. So I was like, let's do design. And then that's kind of where I just stemmed from. And ever since then, I love it. And I honestly couldn't imagine doing anything else in my life.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Nice.
We're
Okay.
gonna go with Steven. You may have mic, mute your mic.
He's got his hand up.
Yeah, it's like we're in school again. Well, thank you for being here. Earlier in the introduction and all the questions at the beginning, you mentioned how difficult it was to find a job with the lack of experience and having to weasel your way into that internship. With all of that in mind, with your experience now, how would you go about starting your career with that knowledge you have now based on what you did previously?
Oh, that's a good one. I think I underestimated how important networking is, and we sort of touched on it in that like first section of the call. When I was at university, I literally thought networking was just going to these events and giving them people your business card and being like, "Hey, I'm Kristy, I'm a designer," and those awkward interactions.
And the articulation.
All right, awesome. So you mentioned 3D printing. Do you guys actually 3D print what you guys design?
Yeah, that's the whole point of making prototypes for toys. We make the models, and I wasn't in charge of the printers. There was a technician who took care of that. But yeah, we had to prepare the meshes to be printed. And yeah, once we have the prints in real life, it goes to a different department. They clean it up because when they come from the machine, the printer, they're not super clean. So there's like some treatments that they have to do to the material, and then it goes to a painter, and then they paint it and make it super nice. And that's how we create prototypes. The prints are prototypes. They're sent to clients if they get approved or not. And then that's what usually gets sent to China or the factories. And then that's how they create the molds and then make it, mass produce it. That's kind of like the pipeline of making modeling for toys.
Wow, that's pretty cool and pretty innovative as well. We have a question in the chat from Angel, and she says, do you have a creative team to assist you, or do you prefer to work alone?
I mean, it's not if I preferred it, it's usually teamwork in production. I mean, when I'm working my personal project, I'm my own team. So I make all the decisions and it's usually more artistic. And I ask myself the questions like, what do I want to achieve with this piece? Am I doing it just for fun? Am I doing it just for a portfolio piece? What am I trying to say, right? But usually it's with a team and it's fun. Like it has benefits of working alone and also benefits working with a team. But yeah, so when you work with really talented people, it's very inspiring and it's fun. It's both are fun experiences. It depends on the project or what am I doing at the moment.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. The next question would be for you would be, how did your educational background and experiences at LAFS shape your career path?
I mean, I discovered 3D through LA Film School. I had no idea this industry existed. I learned what a 3D model is in school or a sculpt in school. I didn't know anything. When I first started studying there, I thought I would be a 2D animator or something like that. And then as I went through every single class, I started to discover what I like to do and what I'm good at it, and see the potential career paths through each class. So I think if I didn't go to that school, I wouldn't know anything about 3D. So it's pretty cool that every single class was different, and I got to experiment with different um I guess different hats in the pipeline. And then I realized I didn't even like to be an animator. I don't like animation. I like to be a modeler, making stuff, and then do lighting and rendering and all that stuff. So it's kind of funny that I went to school to be an animator and then ended up not liking animation and going a different path. But everything is kind of like in the umbrella of CGI. It's not like one thing is exclusive. I can animate, but I don't want to do it as a job. So it's cool. It's cool to experiment, and every class is different, and you get to try new things, and you might like it, you might not. That's the cool part about it.
Yeah, I definitely agree that the good thing about the school is that they show you like the different fields and your specific career that you choose. And at some point when you graduate, you decide what you want to be.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, awesome. You guys can ask questions, put them in the chat if you guys have any questions, or raise your hand if you want to ask Miguel a question. I'm going to ask the next question while you guys put the next one. Next, any questions you guys might have. All right, so Miguel, so the next question would be, what is most challenging about your job and what do you love most?
What is the most challenging about my job? I don't know. What is challenging? I think I don't know. I think I don't know. I really like my job. That's why I don't find I find hmm. Sorry, I think I don't have a good answer for this. Um, Maybe deadlines is it's a challenge. I think I have it under control now, but at some point it was a challenge. So, for example, sometimes you want to make the best work ever, but sometimes you don't have the time for that. There's no budget for that. We don't have time, so you kind of have to, okay, I I would love to make really nice work here, but this is gonna be on screen for like 2 seconds. We don't have time for this. So you kind of have to shift gears and work on, okay, we're doing this fast versus we're doing this beautiful. So it was hard at the beginning. Sometimes I struggle with that because I tend to spend too much time working on stuff and trying to make everything really nice. So it's good to keep that in mind. It's like, what's your end goal? Is this Ask yourself those questions, and that's gonna be helpful because sometimes you want to make something really nice, and then when it goes on review, it's like you get a bad note because you spent too much time working on something. You made it too nice, which is kind of ironic. It's like you work too much on something. And yeah, you just have to listen to what it's needed and work around like towards that.
Awesome. And yeah, I definitely agree. I think it happens to a lot of us students in LAFS that we try to do the best work that we possibly can. And like you said, sometimes there might be times where you need to do something fast or something like that.
Yeah.
And choose between either one of them. All right. Brittany in the chat says that she's in animation, but she has found so many of the things that she loves by being at LAFS.
Yeah, exactly. That's part of the experience. Every single class is different. You get to try new things.
Definitely, definitely. All right, guys. Keep
And also like adding on to that, I would say try to pick what you like as soon as you can. Don't wait until the last month. It's like, okay, now I'm gonna be an animator. Try to like find what you like beforehand and try to take every class. I mean, it's hard at the beginning if you don't know anything like I did. I didn't know anything about CGI when I was in school. I mean, halfway through the program, I figured out I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a sculptor and a modeler. And then kind of like the rest of the classes, I was focusing a little bit towards that area. Even if I was working on something completely different, I was always keeping in mind that, yeah, I might be a modeler. So let's figure out how topology works, because as a modeler, you need to work with riggers that need clean topology. So I don't know, like putting the focus on whatever you want to do. But yeah, I guess just figure it out as soon as possible and then work towards that.
Thank you for that. That's a great tip. You guys keep putting any questions in the chat, but at the moment I will keep. Oh, all right. Angel has a question. She says, what vectors do you use to promote your work?
Vectors,
Yes.
like social media or platforms?
Let's see what she says. She says platforms.
I don't really promote my work. I went through the phase where I wanted to be you know, like the popular Instagram account. They post a lot of cool stuff, but it takes a lot of work. And I don't love social media that much. I put up my portfolio, and that's how I present myself to employers. I have my own website. I have my ArtStation. I have some work on ArtStation and on Instagram, but making work for social media is a full-time job. So I don't want to do that. And I think, yeah, that's exactly, like, ask yourself what the questions, like, do you want to be a social media 3D artist? You have to make a lot of work and stuff. So I think Instagram is good, or not anymore. But if you want to put up your work for potential employers, yeah, you need a good website that makes sense, that's not too cluttered, it's like easy. One thing that when I was editing my demo reel is a YouTube video, and I was thinking as I was editing, it's like nobody cares about my work. How can I make someone care about my work in 5 seconds, right? So the way I edit it is like I have multiple pieces that I showcase in depth, but it's like a 2 minute demo reel is considered long. But what I did is just do quick cuts in the first 5 seconds. Like, okay, I do this, and then this is my name, contact information, and that's it. It's like I show you what you need to know in 5 seconds. If you're interested, you're gonna stay and watch the whole demo reel. And that's kind of like thinking how I present my work and thinking about who's gonna see my work and what I want to achieve with that. That's yeah, that's just ask yourself those questions.
It's really great advice. Thank you. Angel says me either, as in she doesn't like social media that much. And she also said that, got it. I totally understand on social media. I would go to the portfolio route. Thank you.
Yeah, and also to add on to if you go to the portfolio route, also again going back, ask yourself the questions like, what do you want to showcase here? For example, I have a piece that it's a character, but in this piece I showcase so many skills. So I sculpted and designed the character, and then I made the hair, which is a different job. It's a specialization. A groomer is a specialization. So I made a character with a groom, and then he's playing a guitar. So the guitar is a hard surface asset. So I have an organic sculpt with hair, with a hard surface model, and then I textured it, look dev, and rendered it. So in one single piece, I showcase I can do everything in the pipeline. And that's like, and of course you have to do something because you want to do the art. You want to show something, but through finding that, it's nice to address all these points. Like, okay, can I do hair? I'm gonna try do hair, and then if you do it well, you want to showcase that. Can you light your own work? Can you do organic sculpting? Do organic sculpting, hard surface modeling. So I have the checklist that I think that's one of the pieces that got me my current job, because I got the job as a generalist, but with a character piece. And I like to think that that was kind of like the main reason, because that piece, it was 100% me, which in a real life situation, I mean, not real life, in a work environment, you probably won't do absolutely everything, but it has so much value that you can do, and you showcasing you can do everything from design, from the idea until the final render. It's a good mindset to have when you're developing a portfolio piece.
All right, that's really great. Thank you. I'm gonna ask the next question while they put a question in the chat. The question is, the animation and digital art industry is constantly evolving. What trends do you see shaping the future of this field?
Okay, I was having this existential crisis a couple weeks ago, and a lot of I think like modeling and sculpting are getting a little bit outdated. There's a lot of tools that are going to replace that. I'm not to scare anyone here, but like a lot of automation is going to happen, and I think the future, it's a lot of procedural
with people all over. That's what allowed me to get these clients overseas. And yes, it was so hard in the initial phases. Like for at least 2 years, it was really slow. Progress on social media was slow. But you just have to work at it because it is so worth it. And you'll not only like connect with people, clients, you know, client to business. Social media can open up a whole new realm of income streams, like passive income opportunities. You could start courses, you could do speaking opportunities. I honestly never in a million years would have thought I would have done that. So I go on to people about social media no matter where they are in their career, because just get on it, like just get started. Even if you don't think you're gonna have a business, just put your work out there. You really have no idea who's gonna see it. I have the most random people that I'm like, how do they even see my stuff? Like there was like a Love Island winner that messaged me the other day, and like people from Teen Mum, and like I'm just like, these are people that I literally watch on TV, and I would be like, oh, you know, never think they would chat to me about my work. So yeah, I'm super passionate about it, but social media is what gets you those international clients for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've noticed that in my own endeavors.
It's big. It's a big one.
We have one more. What techniques do you add into your work to make your designs anything but boring?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think it's the whole idea, and I actually can't remember if I touched on this with you guys or the other group. The idea that I look at everything with such a holistic view. I'm not only creating a logo and a color palette and typography. I'm trying to put in every little part, every little visual. I'm trying to put in the character from the business into those visual systems. And I think that's what really sets me apart from a lot of other people, is that I really look at all the detail and the character, and I build the brand and provide all these assets for the brand. But I think I just in general love, I mean, you can see from my own branding, color and like boldness and uniqueness. I really try and strive for that. I mean, dependable on the brief, of course, but that's kind of, yeah, me in a nutshell in terms of why I've gone down the anything but boring route.
All right, thank you. Looks like we are wrapping up here pretty quickly. I just wanted to say thank you to both of you for being here and being so open and honest with us. It's truly a gift. I had one question I wanted to do with the closing out question, which was, what piece of advice would you give yourself as a past student? And this is to both of you, Kristy and Miguel.
I'll shoot my shot here. I'll go first. I have a quote that I always go by that I love, and I wish someone had told me this when I was at university, because I wasn't very confident in my own work. And the quote is, "You're far too smart to be the only thing standing in your own way." And I think that's so relevant for so many people. Like, me literally saying I had no confidence in my work. That is literally me putting myself in my own way. And so I take that in my life wherever I go now.
That's a good one. And look at you now. It sounds like you got plenty of confidence to go. So good job on
I'm
that.
getting there.
Yeah, good, good. Keep getting it. Miguel?
I guess I would say that don't downplay your work, or whenever you're presenting your work, don't give bad feedback about yourself. Like some people who think, yeah, this is not, I didn't like this, but here's my work. Or I don't know, just present your work with confidence and just keep working. And that's, I don't have much to say to my past me.
Oh,
Just
I
keep
like
working
that.
hard.
Keep working. Yeah,
Yeah.
keep doing it. You gotta keep doing it. So thank you for that as well, Miguel. Appreciate that. And thank you to all the members that joined us tonight. It's always a treat to see you guys and have you here and ask your questions. We really appreciate it, and we will definitely see you at the next one.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Cool. Same. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you so much.